In today's world, we have many amazing technologies for our disposal. However, while some people enjoy the latest innovations, others have limited or no access to them, creating a noticeable gap. This gap is called the digital divide, defined as the difference between those who have access to digital devices or online services and those who do not due to economic, regional, age, or physical conditions.
How did digital divide started? It started in the 1990s that researchers and policymakers began by discussing the digital divide, initially focusing on disparities in access to computers and computing devices. As the discourse evolved, attention broadened to include the internet connectivity, reflecting the growing importance of online access for participation in modern life. The core idea that emerged was that access to information and communication technologies carries tangible benefits such as educational opportunities, economic inclusion, and social connection. While lack of access can lead to exclusion, widening inequalities and missed development prospects, over time, discussions also highlighted difference in the quality of access, the presence of digital skills, and the role of supportive infrastructures and institutions, all of which shape the overall impact of ICTs on individuals and communities.
Jumping on between the year 2000 and 2004, during that period, scientific and policy conference addressing the digital divide attracted substantial attention and participation, reflecting a broad consensus that bridging disparities in access and capability was essential for social and economic progress. Stakeholders from researchers and policymakers to industry leaders and civil society debated the causes and consequences of the gap, sharing data, practices, and cross-regional insights. Countries came to recognize that the digital divide could constrain the labor force's potential and slow the pace of innovation by limiting individuals and communities' ability to acquire and apply critical digital skills, knowledge, and tools. So, in this context, information and communication technology was not viewed merely as a present resource but as a strategic growth sector that required proactive support through investment, infrastructure development, regulatory clarity, capacity building initiatives. So the overarching aim was create an enabling environment where widespread access to devices, connectivity, and digital literacy would empower workers, spur productivity, and foster inclusive participation in the evolving digital economy.
In the year 2004 to 2005, attention to the digital divide began to wane in certain contexts. A tendency that was especially pronounced among wealthy, developed nations where rapid improvements in access to computers, broadband internet, and related technologies created a perception that the gap had largely closed. This sense of progress was reinforced by the rising ownership rates, expanding public and private investments in digital infrastructure, and notable policy milestones that showcased widespread connectivity. As a result, many observers inferred that the core barriers, whether in financial, geographic, or educational, that once characterized the divide had been substantially mitigated. Consequently, the urgency of ongoing targeted interventions could appear to diminish, even as persistent disparities persisted for marginalized groups, rural communities, and lower income populations who did not experience the same speed or quality of digital access.
In the 21st century, being connected to the digital world is increasingly essential for education, work, civic participation, and everyday life. Everyone has equal access to these digital opportunities. The term digital divide describes these gaps between those who have reliable internet access device and digital skills and those who do not. This divide manifests across borders, region, income levels, age, and other social dimensions. Who benefits from online service and who is left behind. Digital accessibility complements this conversation by focusing on the design, delivery of digital technologies so that all people, including those with disabilities, can perceive, understand, navigate, and interact with digital content. Accessibility seeks to remove barriers from unclear interfaces and inaccessible multimedia to limited assistive technologies so that digital tools are usable by the broadest possible audience. The digital divide and digital accessibility highlight two sides of the same coin. Ensuring equitable access to technology and ensuring that technology is usable by everyone. Using them requires a combination of policy, infrastructure, investment, inclusive design, digital literacy, and ongoing evaluation to adapt the emerging technologies and user needs.